Jamarr Chase, your Triple Crown winner of the 2024 NFL season, appears to be the golden boy once again for fantasy owners entering the 2025 season. You have an elite quarterback. You have a team that really doesn't have the best of run games. You have you have a head coach that loves to sling the rock. The guy would have threw the ball 50 times with Andy Dalton back there. You know he's going to do it with Joe Burrow. And then you have a team where their defense has been terrible. Meaning, we're going to see a lot of games with some high scoring, going to see a games with a lot of throwing. You put an elite quarterback, an elite wide receiver. It feels like a recipe for absolute success for Jamarr Chase. Everything cooked up in one pot that you could possibly want. Can Jamarr Chase repeat what he did last season and win the Triple Crown once again? I would say let's pump the brakes a little bit because that just historically does not happen. Very difficult to do. Is he going to have another elite season? I do believe so without question. Diving into the numbers, do we see 1,700 yards this season again? Maybe. I think Jamarr Chase, the reason you love Jamarr Chase as a fantasy player is because you look at every player on this list, with the exception of probably Justin Jefferson, and you say the floor is the highest of floors. Because of what we just mentioned, elite quarterback, bad defense, so on and so forth. Even Justin Jefferson, you say, well, they're good in the trenches. They could run the ball more if they wanted to, hypothetically. And, the situation they got there at quarterback, who knows? We just see what Justin Jefferson did with, who knows, at quarterback last season in Sam Darnold. But Jamarr Chase, for that reason, I mean, if there is one thing that does have Jefferson over Chase that is a concern, it is the health of the quarterback in Cincinnati. With that kind of protection, you hope Joe Burrow stays healthy. But that's going to be, any fantasy wide receiver for the most part. Besides, again, Justin Jefferson proving he'll just go out there and put up 100, 150 against anybody. That being said, let's talk about this contract year. Always the concern when it's a contract year or a contract's coming up for a player, they have the extra incentive to play better. However, we do know there is that chemistry, there's that lifelong, we should say collegiate to NFL professional play chemistry between Joe Burrow and Jamarr Chase. It's only going to get better. When you have a quarterback of Joe Burrow's caliber playing with a guy like Jamarr Chase, they're just getting better year after year after year, and you're going to see that progression. Again, we knew the Bengals had to put a lot of points up last season, big part of Jamarr Chase getting those yards. But what I love about Jamarr Chase here is if the Bengals in any way, shape, or form can put up any sort of offensive line, any, you have to remember, Jamarr Chase just put these numbers up. He's put these numbers up in his career with literally no protection for Joe Burrow. Burrow has no time to throw the football. You give Joe Burrow a little bit of time, and now you give Jamarr Chase more of an opportunity to get downfield, get open downfield. You're just going to see these chunk plays rack up. You're going to see these explosive games, which Jamarr Chase has had a lot of. These 150, these 200-yard games of 2-3 touchdowns. You're going to see those continue to rack up. Those fantasy week winning weeks continue to rack up. So as you look at the floor, it feels like, honestly, the ceiling for Jamarr Chase can be higher than last season if the Bengals improve from an offensive line standpoint. That being said, if they somehow turn the defense into a top 5 defense, maybe they don't throw the ball as much in the fourth quarter, which brings up point number 2. If you look at Jamarr Chase last season, and something you have to love about Jamarr Chase, if you look at his receptions when they're playing from behind, when they're playing with the lead, we're playing with tied, they are virtually identical. 42 receptions, 42 receptions, 43 receptions. And I love that. Love that. Because you have to look into, sometimes I'll use Mike Evans as an example. Mike Evans, heck of a wide receiver, not downplaying his abilities at all. He's getting older, but if you look at, the past 4 years, the guy's averaging around 1,050 yards a season. Last season, 2023, he put up over 1,200, 1,250. But if you dive into the numbers and you look and see, he had 735 yards when his team was playing from behind, i.e. garbage time yards. Last season, he didn't even get over 400. He was in the mid 300s. And what we've seen his receiving yards drop about 200 yards from the year before. Stuff to look out for. Outliers like that to look out for. Depending on garbage time points is not a good strategy. Because you never know. They could get blown out early. If the game's close and they struggle, maybe the team starts to play better. It's like, what's going to happen now if the fourth quarter if they're winning football games? So when you look at Jamarr Chase and you see that balance across the board, you see those numbers balanced across the quarters, knowing still what the Bengals circumstances are, knowing that Zach Taylor wants to sling this football as much as he possibly can with his quarterback, you feel really confident about Jamarr Chase, again, staying stable with the ability to get it even better. We already know who his wide receiver is on the other side, T. Higgins. We already know what he's capable of. He's in a very stable situation. Maybe Jermaine Burton comes in and steals some deep targets. Maybe. We'll see. But for the most part, you don't worry about, hey, who's coming in alongside this guy that's going to steal some reps? Who's going to steal some targets? We know that he's been here. We know what the formula is for the Bengals. We know what I like last year as well when you talk about the yards. We brought it up last season. Going into the season was, hey, Dan Pitcher is the new offensive coordinator. I think people were kind of worried about losing Brian Callahan. I was like, oh, well, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Because it felt like Brian Callahan was kind of holding this offense back in the first half of games. We see Dan Pitcher come in, kind of bring in some new ideas, draw some new plays up for Jamarr Chase, Joe Burrow in this offense. And all of a sudden, it's the best offensive season we've seen out of this team. So there is reason to believe, again, maybe it was an anomaly last season and Jamarr Chase can continue at that trajectory. And again, something that kind of points at that is for the last 2 seasons, Jamarr Chase was right around 500, 550 on the yards after catch statistics for this Bengals team. His first year obviously blew the top off of defenses. Those numbers were much higher, much like last season, where they was just under 800 yards after catch, which again, when we talked about the not so great offensive line, not as much time to get open deep, that means we're seeing, of course, he's still getting open deep, but we're also seeing this offense, this game plan kind of scheme up plays that gets Jamarr Chase open in open space, creating design plays that gets this guy a chance to, whether it be the bubble screens that gets him 15, 20 yards, whether it be the quick slants that gets him open space. We're seeing this team create and draw up plays that scheme in Jamarr Chase in open space, and it makes you feel, hey, we're 4 years in now and teams are still struggling to stop this guy. He's going to continue down that path. And for me, I think we got to talk about it. Before we wrap things up, I guess. I was about to wrap things up. I forgot all about it. Oh, we got to talk about it. I hate it. Too superstitious. But Jamarr Chase has missed significant time of 4 games, 5 games, whatever, once in his career, 4 years in. So he's stays relatively healthy. And I hope we're not jinxing it. I hope he does it once again. Something to keep in mind is, hey, you're not putting up 1,700 yards playing 13 games. You're not putting up 1,700 yards in general if you're missing 13 games. But I mean, it's going to be hard even if 15 games. And you're playing. You're banking on that. Of course, you just hope he's playing week 16, week 17 on playoffs. And playoffs, by the way, who they're going to play the Cardinals, they're going to play the Miami Dolphins. Not bad matchups. It's definitely a Dolphins team that can put up points and has put up points in a big way when Tua is healthy. You like that because, again, Bengals defense feels like a shootout. Arizona, I'm not even going to try to predict Arizona in their situation. I do like, on the one hand, though, is we have learned that Joe Burrow and this Bengals team as a whole is a December football team. They are a late football team. They blossom late. They play elite football late in the year. We have seen that year in and year out. We've seen it again last season after the slow start. And that is exactly what you want in your fantasy players. One of the things I look at when you're looking at first round draft picks, there's a couple things. So first of all, where's the floor? Is he very, very injury prone? Is he not? Well, how's the situation look from one year to the next? Are we just overhyping a guy that could decline? But the other thing is, you're going to get a lot of first round draft picks that are just worth being first round draft picks and say, hey, he's going 2, he's going 3. I'm happy with both. But which one, what I like to dive into is those week 16s, week 17 matchups, because they are so important. When they get to that time of the season, if everybody can everybody's, if you get the potential, you got 3 receivers, 4 receivers that got a potential to put up 100 yards. Do I want them playing the number 1 CB in the league week 17? Probably not. Then again, no, Jamarr Chase absolutely lit up the Denver Broncos late last season. And that's got to calm the hearts a little bit, calm the nerves a little bit, knowing, hey, even late in the season when the Bengals get rolling, the best of best defenses cannot slow them down. Something to keep in mind. I'm saying, again, gotta be modest. I think we're going to see about 105 receptions this season. It's going to go down. It's going to happen. Those are outlandish numbers. Can he reach those? Absolutely. Can he reach 2K? Absolutely. But in the world of not being too biased toward the Bengals and in the world of trying to be modest, I think we see 105 receptions, about 1,490 receiving yards. We'll see about 12 touchdowns from Jamarr Chase this season. Nonetheless, love y'all's thoughts. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.